Hey everybody, welcome back. Finally getting back to work on the Ford 5000 tractor project. And what I'm going to do tonight is hopefully I'm going to be able to disassemble this steering valve that I removed and determine exactly why it's leaking, where it's leaking from, and hopefully order the replacement parts. So I've learned a few things about this steering valve since I last worked on it on the tractor. Most notably, that my particular valve is in fact made by TRW. We can actually see it, TR, and underneath this is W, and it says hi something there, and we'll get a look at that better. There's probably a part number directly on that somewhere on this casting that I'll be able to maybe make heads or tails out of, which might be handy. Sometimes in these kind of situations, it's easier to source parts if you go direct to the manufacturer of the component as opposed to the manufacturer of the tractor. The other thing I learned about this from the parts breakdown that I looked at online, apparently there's a coupling in here that couples this shaft that what's left of my steering wheel here was attached to. That might be a slip joint. So my concern about doing this might have been unfounded, because in fact this shaft moving up and down might be just engaging and disengaging, sliding up and down on where it mates in here. We'll find out in a minute, because it's going to be like the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to take this assembly right here off. My suspicion is that if I undo these bolts right here, that I'll be able to actually remove this entire bracket with this upper shaft assembly from this lower hydraulic valve assembly. It's a casting number here, but that again is probably just for this part right here and has nothing to do with this valve. Those 4 bolts were tight. That doesn't seem to do anything. Let's see. That's separating. Oh, okay. So that's... So this whole thing's moving up, and it won't go any further because I still have this piece of the steering wheel that's seized on there. So maybe this doesn't just slip off. Nope. I'm gonna have to get this off. Last night I started to use a cutoff wheel to try and cut off what was left of this hub. Here in the shop, it was making a whole lot of sparks, and I just decided, I'll just wait until daylight tomorrow. And what the? I can't believe what I'm seeing. You guys see what I see? I tell you, there ought to be a law. All right, as I was saying, so today I ended up
hauling this junk outside, and I ended up cutting this and being real careful as I could. Then I used a chisel in here to kind of spread this open a little bit, and was able to finally get this to break free. This was really badly rusted onto here. So as soon as I took this off, that allowed this whole shaft assembly to come off, and guess what I found? Well, besides a mess, get a load of how wet this is. So as I suspected, there is a sort of coupling here that couples this shaft, which is more of a Ford part, to the shaft coming out of the TRW component. But what's interesting to me is, remember I was concerned about that play going in and out? That play right there? Take a look at this. The pin is out. There's a pin that goes through here. And it appears as though the pin has slipped out of position. In other words, this pin looks like it should be pushed in like that. Okay? Now with that pin in, so that now it's engaging that hole on the other side, there's still some play there, but it's not. I'll see how that falls right out. Alright, well, if I hold this so it doesn't fall out, there's still some play there, but it's not as bad as it was. Okay, that's maybe like less than a 1/4 inch of play, whereas if I let that pin fall out again, out of position, the play becomes much more severe. And I can already see why that pin fell out, because there's another one on this side, and it's clear to me that what holds the pin in is a metal ring that snaps into this groove that is missing. My suspicion is that it rusted away. So anywho, with that ring missing, this pin is free to just kind of fall out like so, and then that comes out. Now I'm going to see whether or not this part right here is available, this shaft. I got a feeling it's not. Matter of fact, I bet a dozen donuts that it is one of the obsolete parts of this 1974 Ford tractor. Why do I want one of these? Well, the main reason is because this end here, where I took the hub of the steering wheel off, these splines are not in the greatest of shape. I can run a die over these threads, so I'm not too worried about that. Kind of deform this with the puller, but again, I can chamfer this edge, clean up these threads. Well, splines might have to do. There's an oopsie right there. I went a little bit too deep with the cutting wheel, which is on the taper. Again, I can file that, and it should be okay. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think I'm going to be able to source this part. Oh, by the way, that brings me to another rosy little factoid. The steering wheel on this thing. Whew, I mean, the steering wheel was in really, really bad shape. So, I mean, I'm not that upset about destroying it, because those of you who have been watching have seen the steering wheel basically had, 3 rolls of electrical tape on it to keep it somewhat together as far as the plastic, what was left of the plastic on it. But this particular steering wheel on this particular model, which is the Rowcrop 5000, aka the 5200 made in England tractor, has what some describe as a deep dish steering wheel. So if you just look online for a generic Ford 5000 tractor steering wheel, you're not going to find the deep dish one. You're going to find a steering wheel that is much shallower. And what I mean by deep dish is I mean the distance from, say, this surface to the surface that is formed if you put a board across the top of your steering wheel. Apparently the original steering wheel part number still comes up as a valid part that you can get from New Holland, but it's like almost a $300 steering wheel. So I haven't decided yet exactly how I'm going to handle this. What I'm going to source for a steering wheel for this puppy. But for the time being, I can go back to the matter at hand, which is figuring out what's going on with this thing as far as the horrendous leak. So I'm going to take a minute to clean this up. Oh, look what I just spotted on the bench here. There is what's left of that ring, piece of it. So here's the other ring that's retaining the other pin. That was stuck in there pretty good. Just asking to slip and stick the screwdriver through my fingers and my hand. There we go. All right. It's a little better. Just pop that off like that. Interesting that pin doesn't want to come out that way. Let's see if it does it matter which way it goes in. Nope. All right, so that pin is either seized into the shaft on the valve or it's pressed into the shaft on the valve. One of the two. Interesting. Oh, it's times like these that a bench block is a great thing to have. Man, that seems odd. Why would that be so hard to get out? Seized? The fact that this ring exists at all to keep this in makes me think that that's supposed to be just a slip fit, that it shouldn't be seized in there or hard press fit like that. So I think we got a problem. All right, it's coming. Wow. A big lump of grease or something on the top there. All right, I take that snap ring, what's left of it off of there. There's the coupler. All right. So at this point, we have now left the realm of Ford parts, and we are in the realm of what is strictly a TRW component. What is going on? Oh my. Is that the seal? That can't be the seal. That's got to be a felt washer or something that sits on top of that. What I'm looking at is I'm looking at whatever this is that's sticking up right here. Yeah, that's some kind of a... That used to be like a felt washer or wiper that is completely turned to mush. And below that appears to be more of a traditional seal. Quite the mess.